What are we meant to give to the world? What is our destiny in the world we live in today? It is very in to find out who you are. Find who you are, find yourself. What are our gifts and talents for? Who are we meant to become? How do we discover our destiny? My name is Leah Abramov, and I'm here to share with you some insights on how do you recognize who you are. How are you able to understand your destiny in order to give the world what you're meant to? Stay tuned. Recognizing who we are is such an incredible gift. It's an incredible form of awareness. And during the times of Sfirat HaOmer, it's an incredibly powerful time where we can really tap into our spiritual selves in a different way, in a more profound way. So I want to share with you some ideas about how do we tap into ourselves during this time. If a person does not know who they actually are, they're pretty much wasting their time in this world, because it's like taking a lane in the highway. You can take a certain lane and you could just slightly make it take a right or slightly make a left and go to a whole different place. So we need to know who we are. How do we know who we are? By constantly making heshbon hanefesh, or a spiritual accounting, or learning about ourselves regularly. Now, it doesn't mean once a year, and it doesn't mean sometimes. Pretty much before Yom Kippur, people try to become more spiritually aware, work on themselves, take upon new mitzvot. This is not the only time when we should work ourselves. It should be regularly, it should be daily, it should be weekly, right? Something that we're constantly becoming aware of who we are and reminding ourselves of who we are. Now, the Yahara, the evil inclination, is up and ready every single day, roaring to go, ready and equipped to ruin us, to ruin our day. So there's 3 tactics that our sages teach us, that teach us about the Yahara. It's important how your enemy, your Yahara, thinks and works in order to be able to combat the enemy. You have to think like the enemy sometimes in order to understand the enemy and overcome its tactics to win the battle. So one way the Yahara works is it creates a feeling of blahness every single day within us. In other words, same old, here we go again. It's just another day. I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. That kind of feeling, it comes from the Yahara. And a person may not even become aware of that feeling. They think, oh, it's because of the way I feel. Now, we live in a society where feelings are so important, and you have to be in touch with your feelings, and you have to focus on how you feel. How does the situation make you feel, and become more aware of yourself? That is true. However, when it comes to the Yahara, we have to understand that the feelings of negativity about ourselves, about what we're doing, comes from the Yahara. It doesn't mean it's true. The Yahara is trying to ruin us. It's trying to tell us, oh, you know what? You're not so special. It's just a same old day, not really accomplishing much. The second tactic of the Yahara is a feeling of busyness, or busyness in general. During the time of Paro and the Jews, Paro sensed that the Jews were going to be freed, and he made a commandment that the Jews should be busier than busy. He even removed some of their supplies. They said, you know what, you figure out how to get the supplies, but I expect this amount of workload still done, and you're going to figure it out. And he created, and this created in them a lot of tension, a lot of stress, a lot of pain and suffering that he inflicted on them. How much more do we put stress into our own lives for no reason? We've said many times where we inflict stress into ourselves where it doesn't need to be. We need to be like them. We need to go to this vacation. Our house needs to look like this. We need to have so many kids. We need to go there, go here. Just because other people do it, or because it's so in. People just have no time to think. Just be busy. If you don't make time to think, it's just like, the time will just go by. The oldest person in the world will tell you life is so quick. Life just runs on and on and on. Time goes by so quickly. We have to be able to stop, and we have to be able to think. Not thinking is a tactic of the Yahara, telling us you have to be busy. As soon as you get into the car, put on the radio. As soon as you come home, put on the TV. As soon as your phone starts to make a beep or a buzz, answer it. As soon as it rings, answer it. Now, the phone is one of the challenges in our generation. It creates a form of busyness. Now, nobody can judge anyone, and nobody's supposed to judge anyone, but the phone can be and is an addiction in our generation for many, many people. In other words, every time it buzzes, every time it makes a noise, I have to answer this text message, I have to answer this phone call. It's like it's always in their hand. It's almost like a third hand. And this is very sad. It's very sad that we look at the phone versus looking at people, versus greeting them hello or acknowledging them. So we have to understand that the phone can really actually cause more damage or not. Now, how do we know it's causing more damage or not? You have to ask yourself. You have to recognize it in yourself. You have to ask yourself, you know what? Is it causing more good than bad? Am I winning or losing by using the phone? What do we mean? Let's say someone is involved in matchmaking, and they're trying to match people together, but they're at a wedding. There's like 10 people sitting at a table, and they're a matchmaker. It's very important because a lot of the messages are time bound. You have to send them resume on time, whatever else that they do, but they have to send it. They're a matchmaker. But you're sitting at a wedding and you didn't really say hello to anyone. You didn't really make small talk. You didn't really greet anyone. Our Torah teaches us that we need to be able to greet each person with a smile. We need to be able to acknowledge people. People are not objects, but sometimes, unfortunately, especially parents, can make our phones more important than our children. Don't touch my phone. Be careful with my phone. Who told you to use it? We get so emotional about it. Yes, they need to respect our things, ask permission to use it. But do I treat it sometimes better than my children? We have to really be careful with that. What messages are we sending to our children? So yes, we are busy with the phone. We have to ask ourselves, and we can only judge ourselves and not others. Am I winning or losing? Is this important now? Do I need to answer this now? Do I need to be on the phone in this situation? We have to really ask ourselves and really try to always acknowledge people when they are there. So we don't want our phone to be our personal paro. Every single person needs to ask themselves, is my phone my personal paro? Do I answer to every beck and call of the phone? So we have to really remember that. Okay. The third tactics of the Yahara is Amalek. Amalek is constantly telling us you're not good enough or you're not so special. Really, what you're doing doesn't really have such a big effect. Who do you think you are? Look what kind of family you come from. And all of these ideas, it's really from Amalek. It's not really true. Hashem created you because you are destined to be great. All the circumstances that we have in our life, sometimes we think, oh, Hashem forgot about us, God forbid, or I'm not so special. There's so many other people in the world. Who do you think you are, right? Who do you think you are? Really, Hashem really cares about what you do or your purpose in the world? Yes, absolutely, He does. So how do we remind ourselves who we are? By reminding ourselves that we are a Tselem Elokim. I am created in the image of Hashem. And if Hashem decided to invest Himself into me, then I need to understand that I'm destined for greatness because Hashem is great. I want to make Him proud. Every child wants to make their father and their mother proud. And in this way, there's a lot of analogies with Hashem and us. Well, how can we relate to Hashem a lot more? Because we are also parents, right? And Hashem made this on purpose. In this world, created these types of circumstances and ways of being that we can relate to Hashem in the way we can relate to parents, right? He's our father. He's a loving father. Okay, so feelings in our generation are really, really important, especially in our generation, right? There's a lot of self-help books, awareness of your feelings, coaches, therapists, trying to understand why you feel a certain way about this person or this situation. Yes, keep in touch with your feelings. However, when it comes to spirituality, do not rely on your feelings. What do we mean? You can have an amazing prayer session according to you, that it was so amazing. But first of all, you were focused. Maybe you're actually talking to Hashem in your own words, and it's coming from a place of pain or suffering, or maybe gratitude of what you're going through. And you feel such an amazing prayer session, such an amazing davening. Versus davening from a sitter, right? From a prayer book, and you're not really understanding the words. You don't really feel the words. Your mind is actually on your shopping list. Your mind is actually, on the Shabbos cooking. And you feel like, what did I really accomplish? First of all, your prayer session is meant to go that way. And you have no idea what you accomplished in that prayer session. Just do not focus on your feelings. Oh, I feel like it wasn't really so, it wasn't really powerful. I didn't really accomplish much. That is the Yahara. You don't want to believe the Yahara. When it comes to spirituality, you don't know how much you're accomplishing. There's no such thing as a value of a mitzvah. You don't know what's a small mitzvah, and we don't know what is a big mitzvah. We can't judge. We're not hired to be the judge and jury of mitzvot. We are just asked to perform. We work in this world. We're asked to do, despite our circumstances, to do, and how much to do? Really to do our best. That's really the point. So do not focus on your feelings based on based on how much you think you're accomplishing, because you could be accomplishing so much. Regarding free will, the world that we live in is a world of free will. And if it wasn't a world of free will, we would see what we are doing. If you pray from your heart, or if you do a certain mitzvah, you'd see the cosmic ramifications of your mitzvot. You would see what is happening, what you are doing to the world. In other words, what blessings you're showering on the world with what you're doing. And you would not stop, because a person, it's a cause and effect kind of thing. If you see what you're doing, if you see the cause of it, you want more, and you want more, and you want more. So the point is, for us to remember that because we live in this world, we have free will, we have an opportunity to earn this type of reward, but it also for us to remember that because we have free will, we cannot rely on our feelings. If you rely on your feelings, okay, so I feel good about praying, so I must have accomplished a lot. I don't feel good about praying, I must have not accomplished a lot. Or I even though I just smiled at this person, it didn't really mean much. Well, you probably accomplished so much because you just made their day. You made them feel worthy. Maybe they had a horrible day. We don't know. And that is why we live in the world of Behira. We live in the world of free will. The Yahara is hired every single day to do its job. It's fully energized, and the goal is to keep you down. It's not really to do sins. Like a person does a sin, does an avera. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created teshuva, and then he created the world. He created the solution, and then he gave us the world or the problems to deal with it. So you are able to overcome any problem that you have in your life. You just have to tap into it and become more aware, energize yourself, believe in yourself that you can overcome. Hashem will not give you a challenge that you cannot overcome. So the Yahara needs to keep you busy. How does he keep you busy? Many people make their own religions. What are their religions? Being thin, having the most gorgeous house, traveling around the world to as many places as you can, home investments, making money, home decorating. These are all religions that people made up. And there's so much more. When my mind is so focused on all of these things, there is no space in my head to grow. Yes, we want to be healthy. There's a place for that. Who said you have to be so thin? Where does it say that in the Torah? It really doesn't matter. A person is beautiful exactly as they are. Yes, we're meant to be healthy. Yes, we're meant to make money, because money doesn't just rain upon us, right? Whenever we need it. But is it becoming a religion? Is it becoming a stress I'm putting on myself, even though I don't need it? The more you have, the more you want anyway. We make religions out of things and we put stress on ourselves that really doesn't need to be there. And that is the tactic of the Yahara. You have to be like this, and you have to look like this, and you have to go here. Where does it say that? It says it nowhere. We just put the stress on ourselves when we listen and give in to the Yahara. Now, the Yahara, how does it get into the religious world, the frum world, right? It's not going to get us on Shabbos, right? We're not going to go flickering on lights and going in cars and driving. It doesn't get us there. It's not going to touch on modesty. Frum people modest are pretty much modest, and it's maybe easy for them to be like that. Or keep kashrut. We're not going to go eat non-kosher food. So how does the Yahara get from people? Based on their moods. Oh, you just didn't accomplish much. You just prayed this. You've been praying from the sitter since you were able to talk from age 3. Okay, it's just another prayer. Like, who cares? Or you're dressing modestly. Okay, so very nice. But really what's happening in Shamayim, in the heavens, is that the Shamayim is just so incredibly proud and happy. It's just clapping. It's just so happy up there. Every second that we're doing a mitzvah, all the more so when we're restraining ourselves from not doing something we want to do or controlling ourselves in some way, right? A free person is the one who controls his Yahara, controls what they want to do. We learned this Pesach. That is a free person. When I'm controlling myself, that is free will. When I'm controlling myself, I become spiritually aware, spiritually rich. So the Yahara is not going to retire to the Bahamas and say, okay, but the Yahara is hired to put us down. So what does it do? It says, oh, okay, so it's just another Shabbat. You're cooking for another Shabbat. Okay, so again, the house is a mess, even though it was only cleaned for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and again, it's a mess. It's constantly saying you're not good enough, or you're not doing enough, or what you really think is really changing the world. Really? Are you serious? And that is the tactic of the Yahara in our generation, and in the frum world. So we have to understand these tactics and fight back. Okay, how are we going to fight back the Yahara? Number 1 is to be on high alert. Be on high alert in how you are going to battle the Yahara, meaning you can recognize the enemy when it's there. So if you know how it's thinking, listen, it's not that I'm bad. It's not that I made a mistake. Okay, so I'm going to do teshuvah. That's it. Move on with life. You're not bad. You made the wrong choice, or you misconducted yourself. Apologize and move on. And that is really fighting back. Number 2 is don't try to understand all the mitzvot. We don't understand and then do. We do, and then we try to understand to the best of our ability. And if we don't, then we don't. You could tell someone now until tomorrow, certain mitzvot in the Torah, they're just given to us. We may not understand it. Maybe they're nice to do, or they're wonderful, but we may not really understand why we have to eat kosher. Or we may not really understand certain mitzvot. We may not understand. We just have to believe and do. You do, and you try your best to understand, but don't try to rely on your understanding, right? There's just like this company, just do it, right? Just do it and move on. Number 3 is learn about the mitzvot. It's good to learn about the mitzvot. You're building awareness about what you're doing, and it's definitely better to learn about them as well. However, we don't rely on our feelings and based on how we feel when we do them. Number 4, perform mitzvot without focusing on how you feel while doing them or after you're doing them, right? Don't base on your feelings. Don't base on how you feel when you're doing these mitzvot. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It doesn't matter. Your mitzvah still counts. It doesn't matter if you weren't in the best mood and you cooked for Shabbos. It still counts, right? It doesn't matter if you didn't pray a full davening. It still counts. So Hashem tells us, I need you to be the best you can be. The world needs you. What you're able to do, I can't do, and nobody will be able to do, right? You are meant to bring to the world what you are meant to give. Hashem tells us that there's company in the house, and that's how you're going to perform. We perform very well under watch. I teach in the Board of Ed, and many times, obviously, there's observations. The principal comes and all of a sudden starts observing all these components of teaching that you need to teach. And yes, no matter how wonderful of a teacher you are, you're going to perform better under watch. This is just human nature, and that's fine. But Hashem is telling us, because I know you perform well when you're being watched, know that I'm always watching you. Eyes are watching, ears are listening, and everything is being recorded. So just because I may forget that he's there, he's still there. Hashem doesn't force himself down anybody's throat, but he's there. He's still there. It doesn't make him go away. He's there, and he's always wants that relationship, that connection with us. So I'm going to leave you with some practical tips. Number one is to make time to think. Make time to think in your life. Whether it's 5 minutes of personal prayer, whether it's a few times a day that you're talking to Hashem, whether it's a one-shot thing, 1 hour, personal prayer. Pray to Hashem. Do spiritual accounting. Conduct a spiritual accounting. How did you behave? How was I yesterday? What am I working on? And number two is telling yourself, I'm too big for that. When you want to misconduct yourself, we all have the Yahara. As long as we're alive, the Yahara is there. I'm too big for that. I'm too big for that, or I'm better than that. I can be accomplishing so much with or without knowing it. I think that's so powerful. I can be accomplishing so much with or without knowing it. So we have to know that we are destined for greatness. Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming, awakening awareness of your greatness and potential.